in verse 13, Paul writes, take up the whole armor of God that you may be able to withstand in the evil day. The only way that we can withstand, to make it through gloriously in the evil day, and having done all to stand for God, to stand in truth, to stand in the word of God. The only way you do that is you start from 14. Stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth, his words. Your waist with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, which you know through the word of God, he became a sin that you might become his righteousness. That through the word of God, you have a conviction to stand in his righteousness that he purchased for you, gave to you, by him becoming sin for you, dying on the cross for you and I. Only through the strength of the word of God can we put on the breast of righteousness, knowing that I am forgiven, knowing before God I have a good standing, that I am right with God on the basis of the blood of Christ, that no matter what I feel and what the accusation is against you and I, in the spirit or in the natural, you know that you are girded about with your waist with truth, and you have this breastplate. Kept by truth, this breastplate is of righteousness. Having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace, knowing the Prince of Peace that is in the word of God. And above all, taking what? Above all, taking the shield of faith. The shield of faith that you can only take up through the hearing of faith. Above all, taking the shield of faith with which you'll be able to what? Quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Walking in the mind of Christ. Thinking the thoughts of God, because you do possess the mind of Christ now. Walking in the sanctified mind, so you can walk out your salvation with fear and trembling. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, being watchful to this end with all perseverance and supplication for all the saints and for me, that utterance may be given to me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains, that in it I may speak boldly as I ought to speak. To be able to speak boldly as we ought to speak requires prayer that is birthed out of a conviction of the word of God. It requires a strength of persuasion that is birthed out of the word of God. It requires courage that solely will come through the word of God. And so the equipping of his word is truly the armoring that the word does to our life. And it is the armor of God.